If you're law enforcement, stop and listen to me right now. If you're a police department that does not have an LPR system, Insight is offering the first 10 agencies, that means one agency apiece, gets one camera for free. You have to tell them that Two Cops, One Donut sent you. You heard me right. If you're a police agency that does not have an LPR system yet, or does have an LPR system, and you're not happy with the product you have, Insight is offering you a free camera. No strings attached, and they will install it. I have 10 to give out. Tell them Two Cops, One Donut sent you, or reach out to me, and I will get you in contact. If you're a business owner or an HOA, please stop and listen to me right now. If you're just listening to the audio, do yourself a favor and watch the YouTube version of this episode to get a visual of what I'm about to tell you. I want to tell you guys about Insight LPR. It's a license plate reader. If your agency, community, or business is looking to invest in LPR to help solve and deter crime or to make your community safer, Insight LPR has my vote of confidence. I've met with their team. They know their LPRs, guys. They're the real deal. They bring over 75 years of collective experience to building LPR cameras and the software that supports communities across the country. The other thing I really like about this team is how much they listen to law enforcement. They understand the importance of working together with law enforcement and getting their input as they build and innovate products and their service to match the needs of law enforcement. In other words, when I complain or have suggestions to make their damn camera better, they actually do it. The Insight LPR team is extremely passionate and takes pride in their product development, which makes their cameras some of the most durable cameras in the market. For the gear nerds out there, what that means is this stuff's made of military grade aluminum and is nitrogen purged, whatever that means. This design makes the cameras rugged and able to withstand harsh weather elements. Here's the big selling point for me. Their nighttime scan accuracy is higher than most of the leading competitors. In my opinion, this is what sets them apart. As we know, the majority of crimes occur at night, so it's critical to have high scan accuracy at night. Insight's cameras check the box with the nighttime plate read accuracy greater than 96%. 96%, guys. That's pretty freaking high. If your community is looking to invest in LPR technology, reach out to one of their experts today, or reach out to me. Tell them Two Cops, One Donut sent you. Coming up next on Two Cops, One Donut.
So anyway, I came out from under the car and they said they ran to me and they were like, he's fucking dead. Like they thought I was dead. My left leg, like I was ripped open at the left groin and they said my left leg was like all the way back here, like partially behind my head. And then I was just hemorrhaging blood, just bleeding out. I was ripped open like from my left groin all the way back to my ass. Right. Yeah. So pretty big hole.
Yeah. Obviously it didn't hit your femoral.
I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I know this is what I do know is that Woolbright put about 2 packets of Quick Clot gauze in me, right? And then he shoved his hands in me to keep me alive, right? I never thought about this until yesterday, and I was showing a guy at physical therapy, one of the football guys, I was showing it to him because we started talking on my story, and he's like, dude, oh, my fucking mind is blown. Like, he was like, I cannot my physical therapy place is like not 1 minute from where it happened.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
He's like, my fucking mind is blown. He's like, I can't believe this. And I was showing him pictures that I had that I guess like a fire photographer or something was over there that day that took pictures. And you could see Woolbright, dude. And sorry, David, if you're listening to this, man, like I'm not trying to like bring up bad memories or anything, but you could see like if you zoom in, dude, you see the blood on his hands, right? Like he stuck his fucking hands at me to save.
Yeah. It's a good man. Where's he at now?
Still works in patrol.
Still west?
Yeah.
It's good shit, bro. So, in that, do you know how long they was working on you? Out there on the side?
I don't know, man. He stuck his hands in me, keep me alive, keep me from bleeding out.
There we go. Okay.
Everybody raved about this bottle, so it's like
it's good, man. Yeah, for sure.
It's a little hot.
It's not.
I think
the problem is we've tasted this now, and I this is better.
That's like almost perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's an uncut, unfiltered.
Yeah. It's my fave, man. You're lucky I even gave you any.
I've got a bottle at home, but I just haven't opened it.
I just feel bad for you because you got hit by a car.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it, man. If I knew this is all I had to do to get
Right,
free-
good bourbon.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back. We were discussing vacations and all that, which was kind of non-related to anything.
I desperately need one.
Yeah, we're going in January, so we'll see how that goes. I have zero desire to go to Dominican, but
I almost went to the Dominican, and I had gotten I got like this really good deal. It was at a resort, but that was whenever like those people were like randomly turning up dead.
yeah,
Remember that?
yeah,
It didn't like a firefighter or something die down there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they like found him like halfway crawled through a window or
Yep.
something. Do you remember that shit?
yeah, yep,
I'd like to know what was going on with that one. And
Yeah.
it's like you never heard anything else about it.
yeah. We the main attraction for me on this is that we've got several people going. So like I
Right,
said,
yeah.
it's the first time. So I was like, all right,
Oh yeah, you're right.
I'll let it slide. It's not what I want to go to Aruba. That's where
Dude, you have to go.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm telling
mean-
you, like, not to stay on the vacation thing for too long, but if I can tuck away enough money by the time I retire, I would love to have a house in
Little
the
vacation
mountains. Well, a house in the mountains, and I won't have a house here anywhere. I have a house in the mountains, and I'll have a house somewhere like Caribbean's cheap still. Certain areas like,
Yeah.
and you just fly back and forth.
Yeah.
Man.
Hurricane season comes around, I'm gonna
Yep.
go to the mountains.
Yes, exactly, man.
Yeah. I took my kiddo. This year we did a vacation to Montana. Me and the oldest.
Yeah.
7 days horseback riding in the mountains every day.
Have you gone fly fishing?
Oh yeah. I
Dude,
was stationed in Montana.
Ah, man, I've only been once and I loved it. Right.
Oh,
And
that's great.
And the guy told us, he's like, it was last December when we got married. We got married in Breckenridge, Colorado.
Yeah. What about
And, dude, it's so peaceful. Like, and you just like the scenery there. It's not like, again, back to our shit here. It's like
Yeah.
flat, right? You have
Right.
nothing and everything's just either green or it's dead.
Yep.
There's no in between.
I do love East Texas.
Yeah. Well, they got pine trees there,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of, we don't have anything here,
Anything,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, nothing. So, and he told me, he's like, you can fly fish anywhere. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, fly fish. You can walk out. If you can wade out somewhere, he's like, you can go fly
Yeah.
fishing.
Shit, I fly fished from a kayak.
Yeah. Yeah. See? And it was cool, man. It took me a few minutes to get the hang of it, but it's like so fun, man. And like the
Yeah.
water's so clear. Like you can, it's not that shit brown that we have here,
Yeah. See the
Uh,
fish come at your lure.
Yes, man. It was so cool. I loved it. I still want to get a fly set up and I haven't gotten one. And man, they were telling me, they're like, dude, you can
spend a shitload of money.
everything. You can spend all your money on fly fishing. Like
Yeah.
the reels itself, like $4,000 reels they have. You
Yep.
know what I mean? So I'll just stick to my little Bass Pro Shops, like maybe combo or something. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Just starting out.
Give my lose reel with my
yeah, exactly. So, hey, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think you were saying something about.
Oh, you're fine. I was just talking about we did the Montana thing.
Yeah.
Good daddy-daughter bonding and all that stuff.
I heard
and,
Montana's cool.
oh yeah, I was stationed there. I loved it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So up by Kalispell is where we were at. So
I've never been like that far north. I think the
Oh.
furthest north I've ever been, we went to Indiana for some training whenever I was at Campbell. That's probably the furthest north I've been.
I do not know why this thing keeps cutting off.
There's got to be some kind of time thing set somewhere.
Well,
on
but it
whenever-
randomly, like, it'll last a long time, and then all of a sudden it'll cut off. And
That's
then,
what she said.
Yeah, right. So I don't get it. I'm trying to figure it out. I'll get it one day. But
is this the first time it's done it?
Well, I've done it a different way, and I've been trying to get it so that the background doesn't have like the white behind it. So this is just a clear logo.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
if you're listening, my TV that is in the background, I've been trying to get just our logo on there so it looks clean and not so chaotic and things. I've had complaints of people like, man, that TV transitioning from logo to different logo to different.
Oh, it
because
throws them off.
yeah, they get distracted. So I was like, well, I don't know what to do. So let me try something different. So now
And it's just going off that right
yeah.
there?
So now I'm Chrome casting from my phone to this.
Maybe we got to keep tapping it every once in a while, to keep it from like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't
You're
know.
going to cut this part out or people just going to hear us talk about
No,
it?
they're here to talk about it. I don't edit much. I really never try to cut anything out. So, because it's just the fun of a conversation.
Right.
But let's get into your policing, sir. You do
Okay.
your military time. You
Yep.
know, you got your how many deployments did you get under your
Just
belt?
one.
Just the one.
Yeah.
So you go do your deployments, you get your honorable discharge,
Mm-hmm.
and how many years did you do total?
Just 4 active.
Did your 4 active?
And then I got out in the beginning of 08, and I said, I swear I'll never look back at the military. I hate it.
Right.
Never going back. And then in 2014 is actually when I went back in.
Okay.
In the Guard.
So you decide to do police work. Now, without mentioning, and this is me guiding you, without mentioning the department we both work for, which is so easy to figure out. You decide,
especially for me now.
Yeah. So you just look up Matthew Brazeal. You'll definitely figure out where he works. But you decide you want to do law enforcement.
Yeah.
Was that what you wanted to do getting out of the military?
Hell no.
Okay.
No. So I got out, and whenever you get out, usually people are like, man, you know what? Like, I'm going to go do a job where I make a bunch of money, and I'm just going to, I'm going to do this cush job, right? Like,
right.
And I got out, and my brother-in-law was a cop, and Brian, if you're listening to this, thanks for. It's funny because Brian's not a cop anymore. He decided to get out and actually go make good money.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was really like my push into law enforcement. And he asked me. He said, I was out, and I came home, and I was staying with my dad. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I knew I had my GI Bill, and I was like, well, I got to figure out what something, right? I can't just hang out at my dad's house and live here forever. I got to do something. A career. And my brother-in-law was like, hey man, he's like, why don't you come do a ride along? And I was like, fuck no. I was like, cops don't make good money, man. Like, I want to go get a job where I make some good money, and he's like, come on, you kind of, threw the lure out there a few times, and finally I bit, he's like, look, he goes, just come try it. He goes, if you don't like it, you could say, okay, I did a ride along. I didn't like it.
Definitely not for me. Yeah.
Go on my way and go make my, bukus, bucks, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
If I didn't go on one ride along, dude, and immediately I was like, I want to be a cop.
Dang, he treated you just like that army recruiter.
Dude, like, what a whore.
Yeah.
Slut. No. So, immediately I was like, this is fucking badass. Like, I want to do this shit. And I was just sitting there, and like, I mean, it wasn't like, how police work is like sometimes there's a bunch of shit going on, sometimes there's not, right? And sometimes you'll get into shit, and sometimes you just sit around like waiting on something. You never know. And it was that way, but dadgum, man, if it wasn't like, I felt like that adrenaline rush again.
Yeah.
Like I think the military like really screwed me as far as like that goes.
Yeah.
Like
that high.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't go work a desk. I can, dude. And that's a big reason, like, getting off topic a little bit, that's a big reason why I don't want to promote. I told them, I was like, you bring a corporal back on every shift, I'll go promote. Because I don't want to go sit at a desk. I don't. And even after...
I'll talk to you offline about that.
Yeah.
It's not what you think.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, dude, you got to do it. You got to do it. So anyway, I just, I said, okay. I was like, this is cool. Like, this is why I can see myself doing this, like, as a career, like I could retire from something like this, and I get to wear a uniform again, I get to always have a gun on me, which, I mean, I've always felt safer.
It's a comfort.
Yes. I've always felt safer. Like, at least, I have some way to protect myself, and I don't know what I mean, it's naturally I was drawn to it, it's just, it's after the military, it's a weird, like, you just naturally kind of feel at home.
One of the okay, so this is a good teaching moment for citizens. They're listening to that, and they're like, "Oh, fucking cops, gun hungry, and all that shit." Military gun.
Not at all. Yeah.
Right. But here's the point I'd like to make: the perspective. Leave your house without your cell phone.
Yeah.
Leave your house without your cell phone.
You're like, oh shit, I got to go back and get it.
Yeah, it's the same thing with a firearm.
Yeah.
When you get so adapted to it and you've been trained, and it's the same thing. So, so if you're listening, you're like, I just don't get that side. There's nothing that you're going to say that's going to make me understand how you're comfortable with a firearm. It's a killing machine, whatever it is. Leave your house without your cell phone. If you're,
or your wallet.
or your wallet. It's a generalized statement. I know it's not for everybody, but in general, most people are going to be like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely not. I get panicked when I don't have my phone leaving room to room, let alone leaving the house.
Yeah.
So I would say
perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same thing.
Well,
so,
you know, and you know, I see, you know, I forget other people are listening. I just keep thinking we're sitting here talking, right? You know, carrying a firearm is not, unless you are worried that you're going to do something to somebody, you know what I mean? And you shouldn't be carrying one.
Yeah.
What is the reason? Me personally, what is the reason not to, right? Like, why would you not want to be able to protect yourself or somebody else or your family? You know what I mean? If something happens, and that's the thing, it's always a what if, right?
Mhm.
Like, you don't know when something's going to pop off, but
Yeah.
why not be ready if it does?
Yeah.
You could save your life, somebody else's life. Why not? You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just,
I think the counter
there's two
argument,
planes there.
the counter argument's always going to be, if the gun's not involved, there's less likelihood of somebody being killed. Meaning your gun could amplify things. It could be a situation that could be handled at a lower level, but because you have the gun, they're worried you're going to, you'll be more prone to use it, which is, it can be a fair argument for some.
Yeah, and I see that. Then my question that I would ask about that is, do people typically assault you or try to rob you, take your things without using some type of weapon?
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
people don't typically walk up and go, "Hey, man, give me your wallet," you know, and let's go to fisticuffs. It's a knife or crowbar, hammer, whatever, firearm, whatever. More often than not, a firearm.
Yep.
Right. So I have friends too. I have friends too that are on the complete opposite side of this argument, and they say, "Well, you don't have to have a gun, right?" But the thing is that somebody that's already willing to rob you and take your property from you,
they're not concerned.
They're not concerned, and they don't care how they get the firearm, but they're gonna get it. And that's we could put every gun law in the world into action here, but there's more guns in the United States than there is people.
Yep.
And you're not going to get rid of all of them. It's just not going to happen.
It
will not happen.
It's in the roots of this nation.
They come up from the southern border.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously they go both ways, right? They go down, they come up.
Furious.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to get rid of them. So even if you said, "Hey, we took every gun away from everybody, there's no more gun violence," right? There's 3D printers, right? There will always be a legal firearms trade. It's always going to be there. You can't stop it. So why not protect yourself?
Yeah.
And that's my 2 cents.
And most people, until they've been a victim, they're not going to get it. That are on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think the fair argument's always going to be, if somebody's attacking your kid, your dog, if you don't have a kid, we treat our dogs like they're our kids.
Yeah.
And you've got the option of just using your hands, or somebody's going to throw you a knife. What are you going to use?
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
Cool. Now a bear's attacking your dog or your kid. They're going to throw you a knife, or you got the option of a gun.
Yep.
What are you going to take? Okay, so I will fall back on, I want the best fucking thing I can have at all times.
Yes.
Versus anything.
Yeah.
And if that's a gun, if that's what it is right now, that's our capabilities. Cool. If you develop a gun that shoots like a sonic boom. I just saw that on The Peripheral. It's this new show on Amazon.
Like to disorient somebody?
Amazing. Yeah. It'll like you watch it, it'll fuck you up. The closer
Headache
you get
for a week.
The closer you get, the more it messes up your internal organs. So like, I mean, it can be a deadly weapon, but from a distance, it knocks you on your ass.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Or like, let's say Star Trek phasers, set to stun. Jeez.
Right. I know.
Something like that. Like if
that's our tasers now.
Yeah. If we develop something like that is guaranteed to work, like,
well, and that's the thing.
Cool.
Everybody would gladly do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, why not? But the thing is that technology is not there.
It's not there yet.
Right. Yeah.
Tasers don't work that often.
But yes, I know. Happens all the time. And especially if you don't get both probes and you just get one.
But with the new tasers coming out.
Is that something called the X10?
Yes. Have you heard of it? Have you seen it?
So somebody that I know that we
Mhm.
work with was going to drop his off the other day because I guess they want to do some more testing on it or whatever. But he told me about it. I can't find the thing. I looked for it online.
Yeah.
I can't find anything
I
about
can't
it.
wait for that thing.
And he said it has 10 shots.
10
Is that
shots,
true?
yes.
I don't, dude. I was like, no way.
And every shot works. So like if I hit you
And he
with
said
the
it's
first,
has a great distance on it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like very accurate. Like,
yes.
Okay.
So imagine if you know how we have to, like, if we only hit with one, we got to get another probe in you, right? And
Yeah,
it's
because it
gotta-
doesn't complete the
circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this thing, let's say I hit you with one and I get you with a third one, but they're the same polarity. Like one's a positive and the other's a positive. They don't travel to each other, right?
Uh-huh.
It doesn't
Yeah, you
work
need
the
a
right-
positive and negative. Yeah.
Well, the way these work, they change themselves
What?
to the right. Yeah.
No way.
It's awesome.
Dude, I seriously, when he was telling me about this the other day, like I looked for like 10 minutes
Yeah.
on the internet. I was like, I have to find this.
Yeah.
Like I went to the actual Axon like law enforcement page
Yeah.
and I can't find
I
anything
think it
about
shoots
it.
45 feet. I think that
The
was the distance.
fuck,
And it shoots
dude?
like in a straight line.
It's because, the company came out with the bolo wrap or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, we'll watch this.
Yeah. Well, I believe that this actually counts as a firearm.
Really?
Yeah, it qualifies as a firearm.
I'll tell you, man, the last time I tased somebody with the taser we have now, like, it sounds like a gunshot.
Oh, yeah, they're loud.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
it sounds like a gunshot.
That's why
People are like,
yelling
"Hey,
and announcing for all you cops. So this is one of the reasons why it's so important to yell taser, taser, taser before you
Yeah.
fire the thing,
Mhm.
because you'll get sympathetic fire from another
It-
officer. It sounds like a gun.
100% sound like a gunshot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. Like, and I had heard that, but I wasn't
Yeah.
sure until I used it. And then I was like, oh shit. Like, it
Yeah.
does. Right.
Yeah.
So,
So
okay. Anyway.
let's get into your police career. All right.
So, anyway, as soon as I tell Brian, I'm like, man, I want to be a cop. Right. I start looking around. I put in applications places. Dadgum.
You're a
Well,
popular guy.
it's-
Is it the wifey?
No, it's my shift. Like, we're still in a group.
Your who?
Group text. My shift.
Oh, your team.
Yeah, my team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've always called it a shift.
I'm surprised that is this like your attempt to just stay connected to police work since you decided to leave it for so long?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. Yeah.
Fucker.
God, could you milk this injury any longer?
You always say that. Like, yes, actually, yeah, I can. Watch. No. I'm just kidding. For anybody else listening, like workers' comp or somebody, like, I'm not milking it, I promise. Like, no, we'll get to that in a minute. But
They're gonna be like, "What the fuck, Levine? Really?
fuck. Oh, he's fucking the city, man. He's bucking the system right now. Trust me, if I could have already been back, I'd have fucking been
Yeah.
back.
If we've learned anything about you, you're not good at dodging things. So
No. Yeah. So, yeah. Dude, have you been like saving these up for a
Yes,
while? You're like,
I have.
you're like going down your little notepad. You're like,
Yeah.
check,
Yep.
check. Got him
Oh,
on
yeah.
that one. Got him.
Yeah.
Got him. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, stay right here. Everything's gonna keep recording. I'll be right back.
Oh
I got
god.
you a present.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's see what it is.
Give it
Well,
to
it's
you.
not
Why
like
don't you
your
tell story?
penis or something, is
No.
it?
Why don't you tell your story? Let's see. Okay.
Okay.
I probably left about 20.
Why are you so out of breath?
I ran.
You were watching Cop?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and it's 2:33. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Anyway,
Okay, so what were we talking about?
your career. You got into police work. You went to your brother
Okay.
got you on your ride
Yeah,
along. You decided to
so-
go to that.
So I started looking around. I put in applications at some places, and then I realized like the quickest way to become a cop was like I realized like a lot of departments don't put you through the academy. Like you have to already be certified. You got to be you have to have your TCO or TCLOS at the time, but your TCO license. So I put in for the police academy over there at TCC, the Northwest campus, I think. It's like they have a TCC police and fire academy over there. So I was off roughly 8 months before, I was like, oh shit, like this is what I want to do,
Yeah.
So I submitted all my stuff. They said, okay, you're accepted. It started, August of 08, right? And we're talking about earlier me growing up in Springtown, right? So the guy that came and taught our health and safety code whenever I was in the police academy, he was actually a future sergeant of mine at the sheriff's office that I worked at before. I don't know. Can I talk about where that was?
Yeah, that's
Okay, 'cause I
fine.
don't work there
You don't
anymore,
work
right?
there, yeah.
So I became a deputy at Parker County SO, right?
Okay.
So my old sergeant, he came and he was in the NARC unit over there. He came and taught health and safety code over there, and he was asking everybody. He said, "Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from?" And he got to me and he asked, "Hey, where are you from?" And I said, "Springtown." And he goes, "Holy shit!" And he goes, "Take your fucking." He's like, "Let me see your hands." And I showed him my hands. He's like, "Holy shit!" And he's like, "Let me see your feet. You know, like take your shoes off." And I take my shoes off. He's like, "You got all fucking 10 of your fingers and toes." You know, he goes, "Let me see." You know, smile. And he's like, "Oh, you got all your teeth too." He's like, "That's not normal for Springtown, man."
Nice.
I was like, "That gone, dude." You know, and I finally realized, like, I never knew. You never know the dirty side of things, you know, or of places that you live until you immerse yourself in the other side of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like until you go out and you're looking for that side of that community.
Right.
Right. So, Parker County was actually the first place that offered me a job. Right. I mean, right out of the academy. So I took it. And man, you know, I went out there and people will talk a lot of shit about sheriff's offices, right? Like, "Oh, you're fucking deputy, like you hillbilly motherfucker," you know, like, yeah, you got all your teeth, like that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
you know, like you see all the memes on Instagram and Facebook, like deputies when this happens, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like you tooted your wrong buckaroo, you know, whatever, like you yed your wrong haw, you know, that kind of stuff. So, but man, I'll tell you, I had some of the most fun working at a sheriff's office. You have a lot of freedom there. Like, you know, most places have moved so much toward like a cancel that pursuit before it even really starts. They'll let you chase those motherfuckers till the wheels fall off out there, man.
Yeah.
Like I chased a guy one night almost to Abilene from, if anybody knows where Millsap is or Brock, 80 miles, 43 minutes. We made it out there. And the only reason it stopped because he ran out of gas.
Dang.
You know,
I mean, that's the support of your citizens. That's a different type of,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
The politics side of things, that's what
Yes.
really kind of pushes policies and stuff. So,
And I always say the one thing I miss the most about working out there was they don't tolerate the shit that other places tolerate. If you do something bad, they're going to make sure that like you don't get away with it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? They're going to, and me personally, I believe that recidivism is directly related to that stuff. Like if you know you're going to get off easy, what's to stop you from going and doing it again?
Right.
I stopped a guy one time and I said, "Man, what are you guys doing out here?" And I said, I said, "You're from out east." And I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "You breaking into shit or you know, doing this?" He goes, "Oh man," he goes, "I don't hit my licks out here." He goes, "I know better." He goes, "I go back over there."
Yeah. People
You know
think
what
that
I
we
mean?
make this up because that's just we're jaded because we're cops. No, this is straight from the horse's mouth, which is
Yes.
the suspects we deal with.
And he told me that, and I was like, I'd heard the stories. I was like, nah, I was like, that can't be true, you know? And then that guy said that to me, and I was like, oh, damn, like,
Yeah.
it really is true. Like, this guy's telling me, and, you know, he wasn't a brand new criminal. You know, he'd been in the game for a while. You know, he knew, you know, he knew what was up. And he said that, and I was like, all right. you know, like, what else do you say to that? You know what I mean? Like,
you talk to guys that go, like, we have some tougher counties in adjacent to where we're at, and you know, you hear people say, "I don't hit my licks in Johnson County. I don't do my stuff in Parker County." Like, it's not a knock on our county necessarily. You know, that'll go unnamed for now, but it's just that that's where the politics are being pushed in those certain counties.
Yeah.
So I mean, you are subject to the people you serve. And I'm not going to complain about that. I'm going to keep doing my job. But when things start to spike, they'll change. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
It ebbs and flows. That's police work. So
right. But it's also like, at what point does it, you know, the ebb and flow goes, but it continues to drift a certain direction. And it's like, at what point do we stop one day and realize like, oh shit, like, yeah, the ebb and flow went, but it's way over here now.
Yeah.
And it used to be here.
It's
you know what I mean?
Look, California is the perfect example.
Yeah.
That's what it will do.
And
that's the most extreme version. But
well, and
that's
speaking of California, at my physical therapy place, there's a trainer there that used to be a quarterback for the Chargers, right? Um, and he moved recently. He moved here from LA. And he said, he goes, man, he goes, I had friends moving already. He said they were actually moving out to Austin. But he said that he was like, okay, well, everybody's moving, blah, 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 blah. He wasn't seeing anything like really like, okay, yeah, I'll just hang out here. It's not happening to me. You know what I mean? So I'm okay, right? And then he said the turning point for him was he turned on the TV one day, and the sheriff of Los Angeles County, I think it was, he said he got on TV, like live on TV, and told people, hey, if you're thinking about coming out here to vacation or whatever, he goes, don't do it. He said, if you come out here, he said, if you're okay with your shit getting stolen, your car getting broken into, or you getting robbed or mugged or, beaten, whatever, shot, killed, he said, then okay, go ahead, fine, come out here. But he goes, if you don't want that to happen, he's like, this is not the place to come.
Damn.
And he said after that, he's like, I'm moving.
Yeah. If law enforcement can't help you.
If LEOs are telling him like, hey, don't fucking come here because we can't do enough to help you, but we're trying, like, what do you do at that point? Because he made the point, like, he said they make it so hard to own a gun in California. He said you can't just you have to give, when you apply to have a gun, you cannot say for self-defense. That's not good enough. He said you have to spell out specific reasons of why you need a gun. And if your criteria that you give them does not meet their criteria, they said, no, you can't have one.
Wow.
So he said it's either break the law, right? And go ahead and have one, or get the hell out of there. Fuck. And he moved,
So, all right. So you do your Parker County thing.
Yeah, I was out there for, I was at the county for 7 years. And,
Was it Parker?
Yeah.
Parker.
Mm-hmm. I was a deputy, and then I did a year at Weatherford.
Okay.
And I left the county to go to Weatherford. It was better pay. You could make overtime. And I had a degree. They would pay me for my degree, right? County didn't do any of that. And actually, and a lot of people don't know this, so there is a loophole law in Texas that says they can force police and fire employees to be 86-hour employees, right? So you can work 80 hours, and then there's a loophole, because I looked the damn thing up, and it's real. They can actually force you to work 86, and between 80 and 86, don't have to compensate you for it. They don't have to.
Really?
Now, Parker County's since they've gotten rid of that, right? But still, they don't pay overtime. I mean, those guys out there, man, they freaking work their asses off. I'm telling you, like, you want to talk about understaffed, like, Parker County is almost 1,000 square miles, and you'll have, when I left, if you had a full shift, you're looking at a sergeant, a corporal, 2 to 3 guys up north, 2 to 3 guys south. So full shift maybe of 8 for about 1,000 square miles.
Dang.
Dude, and you could get, and I'm telling you, man, like, I'm not talking shit. I'm not like trying to chalk it up to being anything more than it is. But dude, people out in the county, like, when that shit goes down, like, they're crazy. Like, it's like, if it goes down, like, it's usually bad stuff. Yeah. Because they know so much of the time that they can get out of there before we're going to get there. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because your response time might be 20, 30 minutes. Sometimes you're driving from one end of the county to the other because you're shorthanded or whatever. Somebody else is out on a bad call or whatever. And you've got to drive up there. They don't even get away with whatever the hell they want. And then they're gone before you ever show up, Yeah. So it's bad, dude. I mean, I stopped 2 guys out in Millsap one time and I was all by myself. And while I'd put them both on the, and this is probably a mistake on my part, but I put them both on the push bumper of my Crown Vic. And I didn't have my head in the car, searching the car for 15 seconds. I turned around, one of them was gone. I said, I walked back there and said, hey, where'd your buddy go? And he's like, that way, like, pointed to the woods, And I'm like, bitch, like, why didn't you tell me? Like, come on, man. Oh yeah, But anyway, it took another deputy 20 minutes to get out there to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I mean, you never know. Like, there's freaking weirdo, wacko people out there, and they know that. Now you know why I pushed the jiu-jitsu side so hard. Oh yeah, guys. 100%, man. And that's that's another. Yeah, we'll get into that, but So anyway, I always wanted to work where we work.
Okay.
Since I decided to become a cop, and I went to Ridgemar Mall back when it was still like a okay mall to go to.
Yeah. It's my old beat.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I went there, and they had a recruiting table set up, and this is when I was kind of thinking about doing it, and I filled out all the stuff, and I would make it each time further into the process of getting hired, and then each time for some reason they'd say, man, it was always a different reason. Hey, sorry, but you're not what we're looking for right now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I applied probably 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And I didn't qualify for the lateral at the time because they hadn't changed the standards on hiring.
Yeah. They didn't have laterals when I was coming over either.
Yeah, and it was at the time you had to come from a municipality. You could not come from a county, and then you had that municipality had to be 200,000 or 400,000 residents or more.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, well, that's easy for the county, but at the same time, you can't come from a county. So yeah. So in 2016, I started applying again, and I said, this is the last time I'm gonna apply, for work. I keep almost saying it.
It's okay. I can edit.
Yeah. So I said, this is the last time I'm going to do it. Like, if I don't get it this time, I'm done. I've given them a lot of my, time and effort to try to get there, and me personally, I was like, I think I would make I'd make a good addition over there. And I just knew it. I was like, man, they're not going to hire me. And dude, I got the phone call one day for me to come in for my interview, my oral board. And I was like, holy shit.
Finally.
I was like, dadgum, man. Like, this is really happening. And I still have a picture saved in my phone of my pit stains from my oral interview because I was sweating so bad.
That's
right.
Funny.
I was sweating. I mean, dude, like, you want to talk about like a soccer ball almost, right? Just like came out, I was like, golly,
suit and tie.
Right? Yeah, suit and tie. And they're like, why did they make you wear the most uncomfortable shit, for your interview, And, I went in there, and my background investigator at the time, man, she gave me hell. Even though she knew I was a cop already, she gave me hell. I mean, constantly. I mean, she'd call me at night. You could hear my radio in the background. Like, she knew.
Yeah.
And she was always like, well, you better do this. You better do this. I'm going to kick you out of the process if you don't do that. And I was like, all right. Like, yeah. She's retired now. But anyway, never gave me any recognition about anything. She never, was positive toward me whatsoever. And the day that I came in for my oral board, I was sitting in there, and I remember there was this sergeant, and he's in his patrol uniform, right? And he's sitting there, and he's looking at my packet, and he like, they kind of round robin, go around the table, and it gets to him, and he's like, he's looking at the shit, and I'm like, golly, like, what is he gonna ask me? Like, because you're embarrassed about everything you've ever done in your life, right? Everything is bad. And I'm sitting there, and I'm watching him look at it, and he's like, man, you're a little bit of a firecracker growing up. And I was like, well, I was like, yeah. It's like, I mean, it's right there. And he's like, well, he goes, what are you going to do if you come across somebody out here on the street that was like you? He's like, you're going to blast them, dude, and like, ruin their lives, from being able to ever do anything. And I was like, I said, why would I do that? I said, yeah, I understand that there's things in the law that are black and white that you have to, deal with a certain way. But, and I said, a lot of people forget that there's that gray area in there. I was like, we have discretion in so much. It's like, why fuck somebody over? Why ruin their lives over some stupid shit that they're doing as a kid or, whatever, because they needed a little bit of guidance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you give them multiple chances and they still are like, hey, I'm not listening to you. Okay, now we'll step it up a little bit, And I remember when I said that, my background investigator was sitting over in the corner, and I saw her for the first time ever. She was like, started nodding her head, and I was like, dadgum, it's about time, right? Like, he thought I was this horrible guy the whole time, just, and she agreed, I mean, I saw her, then I was like, finally, and, that's the thing, like, I always feel like if you were a fuck up a little bit growing up, not to say that you're a better cop for it, but sometimes it helps, man.
You make better
like,
cops.
Because
I agree.
you've been around some of the shit,
Yeah.
right? Like, and everybody always thinks that as cops, like that we all were like, you grew up and you were like, I was a good boy and I always did everything right, and then I signed up to be a police officer. You know, like they think of us that way.
Yeah.
They don't understand like that. Some of us came from like some bad shit, some broken homes, you know, whatever.
Trailer park.
We were poor growing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like fucking roaches and shit. You know,
Yeah.
like I've lived in that. You know what I mean? And I don't ever think, you know, people, I've gone to these calls, dude, and people are like, well, you probably think you're better than me. And I'm like, man, I put my pants on the same way you do every morning. Like, I'm just another person. I said, I go home. I like to have a good time. I said, I still got fucking bills to pay. Like, I deal with my problems. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not any better than you are. And I'll tell them, like, you're just going through some shit right now. And unfortunately, I'm the person that, you know, well, sometimes unfortunately, but I'm the person that comes to deal with it because somebody called me, right? You know, but I'm not here to fuck you over. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to help you, whether you think I am or not. You know, and people like with the addicted to meth and all that stuff, they're like, oh, you probably think I'm a bad person. I'm like, no, I don't think you're a bad person. I think you have a problem, right? But that doesn't mean you're a bad person. I've got freaking meth heads in my family. You know what I mean? I know what that's like. I've seen it. I don't think you're a bad person. You just have an addiction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I mean, I get off my high horse here, but I wish more people realized that we're like that. We're people.
It shows, it gives more of that humanizing of why you do what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're not there to screw anybody over. Like, you're genuinely there to help them.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you know, it's like kind of like whenever you're a kid and your dad's like going to bust your ass, right? And you're like, oh, you're bad for doing that to me. But really, he's doing it to try to like straighten you out and help you. But you don't see it at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then later on, you're like, oh, it clicks.
It's like my youngest. She's the popular kid.
Yeah.
That's what she is. She's always been the popular kid. She just has that personality. She can get along with everybody. She's very likable. She's a sweetheart, but she's a ginger. So I know she's got an attitude.
She's got the fire in her.
Yeah. But I pick on her relentlessly. I pick on her all the time.
Thick skin.
And I don't pick on her sister nearly as much. Mm-hmm. One, her sister's an introvert. Her sister has to deal with some shit at school.
Yes.
She has never struggled for anything because she's been the popular kid.
So she doesn't know what it's like to suffer, really.
She doesn't know. So she asked, she's like, Dad, you pick on me so much. And I had to have the talk. I said, hey, listen, I pick on you for a reason. It's like, I'm your dad, not your friend.
I'm not your friend.
Not your friend.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if I don't set you up to, I was like, who picks on you at school? Nobody picks on me at school. I was like, okay, who's picked on you? Ever? Nobody. Yeah. That's my point. If nobody ever picked on you, how are you going to know how to deal with it?
Yeah, because the first time it happens and you're outside of your parents' care, like you're out in the real world, you're going to be like, how do I handle this? I don't know.
Because the way she deals with it right now, she snaps, like emotionally invested, like can't handle it.
And you see that too. Also, you see it in law enforcement and military, people that were never messed with, and then it happens to them, and they're like, they can't handle it.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
So I do that to her. I mean, and even my wife herself, she's gotten on to me before, like you're too hard on her. Why are you so much harder on her? I was like, and finally she sees it now. Mm-hmm. She like, and I had to explain it to her. I was like, listen, Mom gets to play the good role most of the time. I was like, that's her job. I was like, you know, if that
you're the enforcer. Going back to what we were talking about when I was growing up. Yeah.
So, you know, and my kids know, like, Dad's cool and chill most of the time until we give him a reason not to be. And then they know that the wrath's coming in some form or fashion. So,
hey, man, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Exactly. Yeah. So I figure out my kids' flaws, and hers in particular is she is the favorite. Not amongst the parents, but just the favorite, like amongst school. She doesn't have to face a lot of adversity. So I have to give her the adversity that I can give her.
Right.
And then the other one, her problem is she's a borderline genius. Mm-hmm. No, not tooting her horn by any means. I mean, but she is. And she's lazy, which is weird. Straight A student. Orchestra, can play instruments just by hearing them,
because that's that's that kind of stuff that
Right.
clicks with geniuses, you know,
Right.
like doing your normal everyday stuff. You're like, I'm not interested in
Yes.
that. Too
So
simple.
yes, I got to bust her ass on the other stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, she's harder to crack.
Yeah.
She really is.
She's probably outsmarted you by now.
She's already in. She's past math I've ever done. Legitimately,
Yeah,
past math I've ever done.
I hate math.
Yeah, I'm the same way. In my school, stupid, them idiots let us sub out math for extra science classes after 10th grade.
Really?
So I stopped doing math after 10th grade.
Man, and I'll tell you this, I won't venture too far. I'll just say this real quick. So I went to, since I've been in the National Guard, Pathfinder school, right? Pathfinder school, if you know, do you know anything about Pathfinder? So
Never heard of
Pathfinders
it.
back in the day were like the guys that jumped in with like, you basically can jump in behind enemy lines with like some hardcore like Rangers or whatever, take over enemy airfields, right? And then you reset it back up for friendly operations, right?
Okay.
For landing zones or dropping supplies or whatever. So it's a ton of math, right? I suck at math. I was ahead in math until I got to Algebra 2 in high school. And then I failed Algebra 2 and had to retake it with my class. And then I failed it again. And then I had to take math models. That's what it was called.
Shit.
And that was still hard for me. Pathfinder school, you have to do trig. You do trigonometry, and it's every day. In the National Guard, it's 2 weeks. And active duty, it's 3 weeks, but you get the weekends off. National Guard, it's 2 weeks nonstop, right? It's 2 continuous weeks. And you stay up till about 1, 2 in the morning, and then you're back up at 5 in the morning to go back and start doing it again. It's a mental game. It's mostly not physical, right?
Right.
I suck at math, and I never realized, like, mentally that was the strongest, like, challenge I'd ever faced, like, with my brain, like, trying to do something academically, right? And I figured out, like, I passed that, and whenever I passed it, I was like, daggum, like, it's true. Like, if you really can, if you work your ass off at something, you can do it.
Yeah, especially if you're into it.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't so into it, but I was so scared of failing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they had people from non-combat MOSs there, and I was like, man, I can't let these people, outwork me and get it, and not me.
Yeah.
But you're calling in, like, they would drop cases of MREs with these little parachutes from a helicopter from a Black Hawk.
Yeah.
And you call them in, dude, on the radio, and like you tell them like when to release and everything, and see if they can get it in your DZ and your drop zone. But what I was getting at was, you're talking about your daughter, like the math and stuff. Like, it just made me think about, if you're not good at something, you suck so bad and you think that you can't do it. But if you really apply yourself to do it, like, you can fucking do it.
Oh, for sure. I got through stats for my master's degree. Like,
dude, when I hit bachelor's, my buddy was like, hey man, you should do your master's. And I saw all the stuff you had to do, like thesis and all that. And I was like, no, I'm good.
Because criminology, it's kind of math based. And so I had to go through stats. And now you're talking, I hadn't had a math class since like 98.
You're like 1 + 1 = 2. I know that.
Luckily, I had some good buddies in class that helped me through that. But yeah. So, well, all right, sir. So we got through your policing career. You finally got over to the agency you wanted. Yeah. How long did you do before you got into your
current where
you're at?
I was hired here in 2017. I did 8 years. So I'm at year 13, I guess, right now. Next year will be year 14. But I've been out for almost 2.5 years. So really real policing, 11 years.
Okay.
Almost 11.5, yeah, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. And then what year did we meet?
2017.
Was it 17?
Fucking academy, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't your lead.
No, I think Coy was.
Bauer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I knew I wasn't your lead, but
he just got a PlayStation 5 and he keeps saying he's gonna play. I found that shit for him, and I'm like, keep telling that fucker, like, hey, let's play. He's like, we'll go to work part time. So you're listening, Coy. It's time for us to all play.
That's funny. I just texted him today.
I tell him, text me like, let's play. And he's like, oh, all right, man, I will. I probably can't play till tomorrow, and then I don't hear from him.
I've been running a lot lately. And
calling him out.
He's big into doing marathons and stuff. And
yeah, I saw him post on Facebook the other day. He's like, well, it's time for the Cowtowners. It's time to get off the couch, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So you wouldn't know what it's like, but I run like 3 miles a day, so it's It's very French.
Well, I wouldn't know what it's like now.
Exactly.
But I would never really choose to run 3 because the PT test is only 2 in the military. So why run 3 when you can run 2?
Yeah, I've been running 5Ks every day. I've been kind
Well, you should be running 3.2 miles and not 5Ks or 3 miles. It's
I do
3.2.
3.11. That's a 5K.
Is it?
Yeah. It's actually 3.
Yeah, I thought you sucked at math.
Yeah, it's
what are you
3.
spitting at me right
It's
now?
like 3.07 is technically a 5K,
I
but
thought it was 3.2.
not according to Google.
Fuck Google.
All right, so
Like Google's one of
Yeah.
my sponsors, dude. Don't say that.
God, I wish. Shit.
All right.
It wouldn't be in this hellhole. Sweatbox.
Yeah. I could still be wearing my shorts right now.
Right? So, all right. So I meet you in the academy. I give you a bunch of shit for being an Army guy, of course, which was normal. But no,
Which is weird. You're in the Air Force, but okay.
I naturally gravitated to you. We have very similar personalities and thought you were a great dude. And I thought you had a good mindset through the academy portion.
I tried.
And
It was tough, man.
It was easy to talk to you about what I expected when I was doing whatever I was doing, and you had the military mindset. You're like,
All right.
shut up and color. Like, and I was like, that's all I look. Like, I'm like, all right, cool. He gets it. I'll just run through him.
Well, that was the thing because I was just there to I was like, man, this sucks. Okay, so whenever I got hired, remember the academy used to be 6 months?
We extended it.
Yeah, but nobody told me that until orientation. And then I was talking to this guy, and he's like, yeah, man, it's 8.5 months. And I was like, no, it's not.
It
It's
was
6
7.
months.
It was 7, and then it went to the 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it used to be 6, like when it was over
That-
on the other part of the city, right?
Well, I was at that one, the old one. It was
Okay.
still 7.
Okay.
7 and some change, yeah.
So all my friends that worked here were already like, yeah, man, it's only 6 months. No sweat. And then I was
Which is still a long police academy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I took a pay. I took a pay cut
Me
while I
too.
was in the academy,
Me
and
too.
it was tough, man.
Yeah.
It was tough.
We were living off our credit card.
Mhm.
Yep. Until
I
finally that stupid GI Bill finally.
Mhm.
'Cause-
Yeah,
yeah.
because I started getting the same thing, and it took forever for GI bill
Yep,
payments
to get
kick
rolling.
in.
Yeah, and
Yes.
you got this big lump sum. You're like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's like the damage has already been done.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
Same thing.
fights, and all
Yep.
that. Yeah, yeah. So, they told me, it's funny because he stopped Joe Pena. He's like, "Excuse me, sir." He's like, "How long is the academy now?" Because I was telling him we were arguing. I don't know, it's 6 months. He goes, "It's 8.5 months," and I was like, "Fuck!" It's like motherfucker.
Yeah.
So, and then I showed up, and I was we had one guy that was like a short time reserve officer in Michigan or Minnesota, and then one guy that was military police in the Air Force. And I was like the only actual previous
Cop.
cop.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, dude, you got to be our class president. And I was like, no, I don't want to be the class president. Like, no, you have to. Like,
Same
you
thing
gotta-
happened to me, man.
They're like, you got to do it. And I was like, no. I was like, I don't want to. I'm here to get through this fucking shit, and I'm to get back out on the street. That's it. Like I'm here for y'all. If you ever need help and you need something from me, you want to pick my brain about that stuff. But I was like, so finally they talked me into it. I was like, okay. And then of course everyone hated me because I would try to be like, hey, you're fucking do this, and they're like, we're not listening to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like I get it. I'm trying to help you, but it becomes when you basically live with these people for 8.5 months,
Mm-hmm.
they get tired of your shit and you get tired of theirs, and after the fact, some of them will probably still hate you, but some of them will probably like, okay, I understand.
Well, you're
why.
coming from a military mindset too, which you
yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Like, listen, these guys don't give a fuck what we're doing. It's getting this shit done and doing it as a team.
Yes. And
That's it.
let's try to not let the cadre fuck us up or whatever y'all were called. You know? Yeah. I remember the first day they were, you show up in suit and tie and all that stuff. And then they're like, get in the fucking locker rooms and change into your PTs, right? And you're changing into your PTs. And then everybody comes in and they're like, get the fuck out of here. You're out of time. And I didn't have a shirt on. And they're like, get the fuck out. And I was like, all right. It was Keck. I remember Keck. He goes, get the fuck out. I ran out without a shirt on, dude, and he stopped me halfway down the hallway like, hey, come back here, put your shirt on, because I was like, I'm just doing what you told me to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Jack wasn't military. He didn't know you were going to do that.
I was like, I'm here to play the game, man. Like, you want me to go without my shirt on? I was like, you say get out, I'll get out right now. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was so stressful. And, I had to really, like, I knew I could never study a day in the academy and still pass. But I also knew that I couldn't be the one former, prior LEO guy in there and then not come out on top.
Right.
Because they'd be like, dude, you're a cop already and you've let these people,
do better,
beat you out, do better than you. So I did. I studied.
Yeah.
I studied all the time. Right. I mean, I would stay in the study groups, we'd go to the cafeteria area and I'd go study with everybody, and I would try to help out as much as I could. Of course, people, how it is. People would still get mad at me, because I was like technically the enforcer, but there wasn't really a lot I could do. I could only come to y'all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, 8.5 months in there, 2 weeks more in service. It was a huge relief whenever I finally got that pay raise. I was like, oh, now I'm back to like, actually being able to live.
Yeah.
I can buy a 6-pack of beer again.
Yeah.
Like,
gotta go steal it from my dad's house.
Yeah, right. Like, hey man, Dad, you got some beer.
So you get out there, you get your street experience in, and you get a fucked up call.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many fucked up calls do you get?
Right.
But, yeah.
So break down the day.
Well, and I would be lying to you right now if I told you I remembered it.
Yeah, of course you don't remember.
I don't remember it. I have to go
from what you've been told,
based off what other people told me. So, and I don't remember the entire day, which is wild, and since I've talked to people since it happened, they actually tell you like that's very normal for you to not remember it because they say your brain is so good at blocking out trauma. And actually, when you talk to people like victims of like sexual assaults, right, or different kinds of assaults, or seeing someone dead or whatever, they're like, I don't know, I don't remember, right? Your brain just blocks it out because it's there to protect you from, having to relive that shit.
Right.
Right. So, I was, and you think too, for the first few hours of your day, especially on patrol, well, in any position at the department, you wake up in the morning and it's your same routine over and over, right? You do the same shit over and over every day to get up, to get ready for work, and then go to work. And then until you get to work and you actually start working, everything's monotone, right? It's the same because you're doing the same ritual, same routine every day. You get up, brush your teeth, shave, whatever, put your fucking uniform on, get some coffee, drive to the sector, go through roll call, and then you go out, get in your patrol car, go get coffee again, go eat breakfast or whatever, and then till you start getting calls, or something like that, you're like, okay, well, it's the same shit. So I didn't think it was abnormal for me to not remember that part because it's like, well, that shit happens every day. You do it every week. So James Mentor, which, he was on, I feel bad for James.
James, the shit magnet mentor.
Yeah. I feel bad for James because he went through Pierce's stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he had to deal with mine. And, so what James told me is, I was on a domestic with him and his rookie. And the pursuit came out and they said it was headed down, 820 toward us. And, I always tell people, they're like, oh man, you're an adrenaline junkie. And I'm like, yeah, that's part of the reason, why I'm in the situation that I'm in now. Yeah. Because I'm always sticking my nose in the middle of shit. And dude,
if not you, who? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. And dude, you go through your burnouts, you go through these little burnouts. You're like, fuck, man, like law enforcement's fucking tough. Like it sucks. I'm not getting paid a lot, shit. It's just tough on you sometimes. And they say you have a 3-year, a 7-year, a 3-year and a 7-year burnout. And they say if you make it past 7 years, you're usually okay. Like you can really push through the rest of your career. So anyway, I made it past, and I did. I had a fucking burnout at 3 years and I had a burnout at 7 years, like almost right on the dot, which is like, I mean, I guess it's so long of documenting police shit that people know. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like where you start to have your little burnouts. So, anyway, I was on a domestic with Mentor and his rookie, and it came across the radio. And Mentor said, he goes, you asked me, he goes, do y'all need me here? And I said, or he said, no. He said, go ahead. I said, okay, I'm going to go to this pursuit. And he told me, he said, the last words I said to you, man, I was like, be careful, you know.
You didn't listen. What a dick.
Yeah, I was like, fuck you, James, watch this. No.
Hold my beer.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah. So what
You want
was
to see me not listen
what
to
was
you?
the pursuit about?
So it was a stolen vehicle pursuit. And I don't know, do you know Elisa?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, she was the lead vehicle in that pursuit, right?
I worked with her like as partners. Yep.
Yeah, and it started in deep north, and I was like, daggone, like it just came all the way down west. So they said I dispatched myself, you know, I'd say I got on the radio, I was like, hey, you know, I'll be en route to that. Yep. And I went
You did. I actually heard the whole thing go down.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was working Colonial, I think. Some part-time.
June 13th. What would you have been doing on that day?
Maybe not Colonial.
It was a Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday morning.
God, I really do think it was Colonial.
Yeah, about 11:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Brandy was with me.
Okay. So
Camper.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I dispatched myself out there, and from what I understand, you know, it's right across from the Harley dealership over there. So I went out there and I got set up.
Hey folks, Eric Levine from Two Cops, One Donut. Want something better than Ring, Arlo, Brink, or any of the other quick launch home security systems? I've been having trouble with my Ring products. They don't read license plates on moving vehicles, the link doesn't connect fast enough to my phone, and I'm tired of getting notifications only to see like a glimpse of something that set it off. I was reached by a veteran-owned business called Agent Security. The owner, the staff, all veterans or former cops, they're kind of like the Chick-fil-A of customer service when it comes to security. They have a system that does everything companies like Ring do and more. They have pivoting cameras that track day or night. They can also read license plates and catch high-definition details that will lead police more effectively to catching the offender. Their mission is providing the best home security systems to their customers. All you have to do is start the conversation to protect our most valuable assets, our families. They listen to your needs and come up with perfect customized security solutions to protect what matters to you most. You can contact them by phone at 713-962-3558 or email info@agentsecurity.com or visit their website, agentsecurity.com. That's AGENTSECURITY.com. They serve the greater Houston area, North Texas, and more. Be sure to tell them that Eric Levine from Two Cops, One Donut sent you. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Impact Tactical. Impact is a tactical outfitter for the men and women of our military, police, fire departments, and other public safety around the country. Impact's core beliefs is that fearless men and women protect our freedom and safety should have access to the best tactical performance apparel, equipment, and tools on the market. And they shouldn't have to go broke to get it. I've used Impact for about 11 years, and I can attest that they do live up to their core values. So you get a personal recommendation from me. You can find them at impacttactical.com. That's MPAK tactical.com. And be sure to tell them that Two Cops, One Donut sent you.
And I guess it was enough time before the pursuit came through that there was a ton of people watching, like from across the interstate. You know, they were all at the Harley dealership or wherever.
So when you say set up, meaning you got out of your patrol car and you were waiting with stop sticks.
Yeah, I get my spikes out there, right? So this guy, which I've learned since this happened that he had been dealt with about a month before that, and he told a couple officers that arrested him, or they did an app on him or something. He said, "I'm going to kill a cop." So they said that, you know, I was out there ready to go. Everything was going well, like great. Everything looked good. And they said right at the last minute, man, he just, he swerved off the road and just came right at me. And they said I tried to run from him, you know, but I guess they said the estimates are that he was going 70 to 90 miles per hour. He's in a Dodge Journey. It's kind of like that small crossover SUV style thing.
Yeah.
They said I tried to run, And then they said right at the last minute, I tried to jump out of the way, but they were like, man, there's nothing you can do. I went on the hood, I guess, and then I got pulled under. And they drugged me for like 100 feet. And then I guess they said my gun belt broke. And you know our gun belts are thick, right? So I mean,
Straight leather, yeah.
It must have taken, and it's like layers of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess it was enough force to tear it in half or something. Whatever happened, let me out from underneath the car. And do you remember Woolbright? David Woolbright?
Yep.
Former Marine. Can't call him an ex-Marine. You know?
Right, yeah, they get all bent out of shape.
Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Yeah.
Hoorah. Yut. You know, whatever they say.
Crayons, nom.
Fucking Marines, yeah. So anyway, I came out from under the car, and they said they ran to me, and they were like, he's fucking dead. Like, they thought I was dead. My left leg, like, I was ripped open at the left groin, and they said my left leg was, like, all the way back here, like, partially behind my head. And then I was just hemorrhaging blood. You know, I mean, just bleeding out. I was ripped open, like, from my left groin all the way back to my ass, right? Yeah. So, I mean, pretty big hole.
Yeah. Obviously, it didn't hit your femoral.
I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I know, this is what I do know, is that Woolbright put about 2 packets of Quick Clot gauze in me, right? And then he shoved his hands in me to keep me alive, right? Like I never thought about this until yesterday, and I was showing a guy at physical therapy, one of the football guys, I was showing it to him because we started talking on my story, and he's like, dude, oh, my fucking mind is blown. Like, he was like, I cannot my physical therapy place is like not 1 minute from where it happened.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
He's like, my fucking mind is blown. He's like, I can't believe this. And I was showing him pictures that I had that I guess like a fire photographer or something was over there that day that took pictures. And you could see Woolbright, dude. And sorry, David, if you're listening to this, man, like I'm not trying to like bring up bad memories or anything, but you could see, like, if you zoom in, dude, you see the blood on his hands, right? Like, he stuck his fucking hands at me to save.
Yeah. It's a good man. Where's he at now?
He still works in patrol.
Still west?
Yeah.
It's good shit, bro. So, in that, do you know how long they was working on you? Out there on the side?
I don't know, man. He stuck his hands in me, you know, keep me alive, keep me from bleeding out.
I don't think many people know that.
Yeah. You know, and they said, I mean, I was like unconscious initially, and then they said I woke up like pretty quick, and they thought I was. When I woke up and I started screaming, that's when like, oh fuck, he's alive, you know.
And you have no memory of it.
No, but they said I woke up and I was conscious the entire time until they put me under in the OR, right? And
damn, you don't remember any of that. That's amazing.
But they said that they were like talking to me and like, hey man, can you tell me where you're hurt? Can you tell me your blood type? Like I was telling them everything, and they said the first, like I guess one of the first things I asked them, like I guess if everybody else is okay, and if I fucked up, you know, like I thought I did something wrong, you know, and that's big for me because I don't want to, like I always try to, I consider myself a good cop, you know, and I just don't want to think that I did something to cause what happened to me, you know, or hurt somebody else or whatever. Anyway, he shoved his hands in me, dude, and it's like, that's got to be fucking hard for him.
Yeah. Hard for anybody.
Yeah. And you know, everybody there, they were all trying to help me, and it's like people didn't know what to fucking do because it's like, he's fucked. Like, he's done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was in such bad shape.
It's not like plugging a hole.
No, it's not. It's like, you know, the big thing is like, let's throw a tourniquet on him. It's like, where the fuck do you put a tourniquet on him?
Yeah.
You can't put a tourniquet on him. Like, he's so ripped open, like, you can't fucking put one on him.
It's hard because as being a person that's seen slight traumas in the field, you know, seen death, the really bad,
yeah,
you know, and I look and I've learned from those. I'm like, there was the problem. I don't know if anybody putting pressure, whatever it is in that area, would have helped, because it's too late by the time I get there. But luckily enough, through the traumas I've seen in that, I have confidence in myself now. Like anything like that, I know exactly what to do. Doesn't matter how bad you are. I'm looking for the leaky part, and I'm going to put as much damn pressure on the leaky part as I can.
Yeah. Do something instead of nothing.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like,
but for new cops or he was a newer cop.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but he had Marine Corps experience. That was good. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
it's
I honestly don't think we get enough medical training. In the academy.
No. And that's not there's not for a lack of trying.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No. But it's like when you ram all the other shit down our throats, and this is.
But the academy is going to be longer now.
That's
10 months, and there's going to be more.
And that's fine. And, this is another thing that pisses me off is everyone harps on us. You need more training. Y'all need more training.
Yeah.
We have, like, honestly, like, if society would stop fucking always feeling sorry for the criminals, right, and forcing us to go through more of like this training of like, you need to be nicer to people and this
stuff
and that.
That's not helping.
Yes, like we would have more time to train medically. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we'll save his fucking life. Okay, you wanted me to save his life. Okay, we had to shoot him. Now you want me to save his life. Oh, y'all didn't have good enough training, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay, well, don't force us to go through all this other stuff because, of dumbasses, criminals that didn't care for anybody else's life. They had no reserve for anybody else's life.
Yeah.
Right. And now they're the ones down, and you're pissed that we didn't save them, right? I mean, people focus on making us take the wrong type of training, I feel like. And I've felt like that for a long time. I think, that we should be able to have more medical training, right? I mean, we could save so many more people. I mean, and the thing is that we get there so much faster. Yes, I love our medics and I love our firefighters, right? I mean, when they show up and there's like medical aid to be given, like I let them take over. They know what they're doing more than us, but 90% of the time I feel like we're there first, and it's like, okay, give us the resources, help us be more prepared for that stuff. You know what I mean? Instead of us showing up and go, well, I guess I'll throw a tourniquet. That's what I learned in the academy. It's like, we need to, I know, and we learn more. I'm just using the tourniquet as an example, but you go through that one class in the academy and then you don't, it's a perishable skill. It's like jujitsu, right? Jujitsu is a perishable skill, right? Shooting, perishable skill, right? We don't follow up enough on that, and we go too much to these administrative classes, and I you know how to be a cop or you don't. They can force so much of this administrative stuff down your throat, but if you're really going to treat people well and you're going to do the right thing, you already have that ingrained in you. You know what I mean? A class here and there might help you say, okay, I can deal with this person better. Like, for example, the deaf and hard of hearing class. Like, that's a class that I think that we need to know because it's, okay, I'm dealing with something. But people just being shitheads, like, I already know if I need to de-escalate, I'm going to de-escalate to the point I can. But there's a certain point that sometimes it's like, you can't.
Yeah.
Sorry, but you can't. And then you can't just keep adding those classes to the paradigm because, well, we didn't de-escalate well enough.
It's like general orders.
Yeah. And just keep stacking them on top of each other. Like, they only go so far.
Like, how general is this?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, back to I guess Woolbright, plug me up, and I actually have these pictures. I'll show them to you. I don't have, like, my wife has seen all the pictures. I always joke, her and my doctors have seen more of me than I ever have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people have, I choose not to look at them. I could, but I don't care to. Maybe one day,
Yeah.
But anyway, they kind of plugged me up, and I'll send these to you later. But I don't know if I was knocked out of my boots or they took my boots off. I know I was knocked out of my ball cap. A ball cap's like these pictures I'll have. I'll show you. I'll send them to you.
Which you should have been wearing a cowboy hat, but continue.
Yeah, a cowboy hat would probably have been okay, right?
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
He'd have been like, howdy, partner.
Right.
Gone the other way, right? This is Cowtown.
That's right.
So, anyway, they threw the sheet over me, you know, obviously to stop like news helicopters or whatever. But this guy, and I will 100% say his name, and I'm so thankful that he was there. He's a former Marine too. His name is Jared Butler, and actually I think he's a jailer at Parker County now. He's a Harley rider. He was at the Harley dealership across the interstate. He was watching it all happen. And they said this fucking guy, without any regard for his safety at all, didn't even, I mean, wasn't looking at cars, nothing. He fucking jumped over and came and ran across 820 to come try to help me.
No shit.
Yeah. I mean, no regard for his own safety.
Nice.
I mean, ran over there, was like, what can I fucking do?
Yeah.
Right. And you'll see him in some of these pictures. He's got his leather on. But anyway, they kind of stabilized me. Life care or
Life flight.
no, care flight. Care flight. They showed up, you know, loaded me up, took me, flew me to JPS. They said I took a unit of blood on the helicopter, and if anybody is unfamiliar with like units of blood, like 3 units is about half your blood. I took a unit on the helicopter, 2 more units as soon as I got to JPS. My trauma surgeon, one of my trauma surgeons, Carlos Rodriguez, he was a retired Navy surgeon that worked the field hospitals in Iraq and Afghanistan. Perfect, right?
That's what you want.
He told me, he's like, your injuries are like completely like an IED blast.
Yeah.
So he knew what to do, right? And he does this thing he calls a doorway test. And, you know, he says he walks by the doorway in the ER and he looks at these people. He kind of assesses you from the doorway. He's like, is this guy going to make it? Is he not going to make it? You know, what can I do for him? And he said he came by the doorway and he looked in at me and he's like, this dude's right on the brink. You know, he's like, he's teeter-tottering, you know. He said it was real gray. And he came in and he started talking to me. He said, you know, he asked me, he said, how you doing, man? And he said that I goes, well, I've had better days. And it's the weirdest thing because I don't remember any of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But you were you.
Yeah, you know, and he's like, hey, you know, where are you hurting? Can you move this? Can you move that for me? And he asked me, he said, can you lift your left arm off the table? And he said, I picked up my left arm and everything left the table except my elbow. Just kind of stayed on the table.
Really?
Yep. Because it was so, you see, I can't straighten it out all the way still.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was so, you see the scars right there. But they've got an anchor in here because they tried to put it back in place like 4 times. Instead, it just kept coming out. So they threw the anchor in there and, you know, kind of locked it, which is good because I have a good shooting.
Yeah, you got a good platform.
Yeah. You know, so it's good. But he said, you know, he's like, you're awake, man. He's like, we took you back until we put you under in the OR. And they put me under. I had 10 hours of surgery right there. They kind of cleaned me up, stabilized me. And, you know, I still had a ton of debris stuck in me from being dragged. And they said very next morning, very first thing, because they do surgeries early, right? I mean, like 5 a.m. Candace said they came in and got me another 10 hours of surgery.
Just get you cleaned out.
Well, yeah, and just working on all other shit. Like, they did enough to just, you know, get me kind of like in one piece. And then they went in and started actually like working on stuff, you know? So I had 20 hours in the first, you know, day and a half I was there.
Damn.
Colostomy bag, put me on a colostomy for 10 months. I thought I'd never get rid of it. They told Candace, they're like, he's probably gonna be stuck with this colostomy forever. And honestly, like, out of all the stuff that happened to me, that bothered me more than anything.
Yeah,
like,
that would have been shitty.
Oh, dude. Literally. Yeah. You fucker. I see what you're saying.
Sorry, bro.
Picking up what you're throwing
Had
down.
to make you smile.
No, dude. I mean, dude,
Yeah.
it was fucking bad, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I had these horrible nightmares. I was out for, you know, they told me all these cops came up there to the hospital. They're like, there was like a fuckload of cops.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's not good because usually the only time whenever they send a fuckload is like whenever they're like getting ready to escort your body out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, he's not going to make it. Let's all fucking salute. And as this flag draped coffin comes out, you know, you get a few cops up there. It's like, okay, he'll be all right. You know, when you send a whole bunch, it's like, hey, you know, he's done, you know. So, and that's what she told me. She said for 4 or 5 days, they didn't know if you'd make it, you know, and they were going around and we weren't married at the time. And they were going around, they asked my parents like, hey, you know, what do you want to do about this and that? And they said, let Candace decide, you know, let her choose, you know? So I was out for those several days and I had the worst fucking nightmares I've ever had. But I must have been like semi-conscious because some of what was in my nightmares like coincided with like what was actually happening. Yeah. So the first one I had an officer guarding me. And you know how we always, if you get hurt, you know, we always have an officer on you. And he was there and he was watching me and like he was hanging out with these like fucking gangbanger guys. And they're like, man, he's a fucking crooked cop, man. Let's kill him. And he kept asking me, he's like, is that true? Are you a dirty cop? Like, should we kill you? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm a good one. I'm one of the good ones. And wherever we were at, like everything was made out of saw blades, like circular saw blades, right?
Okay.
So have you ever heard about like what it sounds like when a orthopedic surgeon is working on you?
Oh shit.
They say it sounds like a construction site,
Yeah.
right? So I'm thinking, and then it's like okay, so I have a cop guarding me, which was happening, hearing or seeing saw blades, which construction site sounds, right?
Yeah.
And he said I remember he kept saying, man, he's like, I don't know. He's like, maybe we should kill you. Like, I think you might be a dirty cop. And I was like, no. I was like, if you fucking kill me, you're gonna go to prison for capital murder of a peace officer. Well, when I woke up, well, like later, you know, I was talking to Candace about this stuff, and I told her that I had this nightmare, and she said, apparently I was fighting somebody on the operating table, and I was telling them that. I said, if you kill me, you're going to go to prison for capital murder, right? So it was like, I was like, whatever I was having in my dream, like I was expressing like,
oh shit,
in real life,
yeah,
right? So I had that one, and then I had this other one where it was like, everything was like monotone, like gray, like not black and white. But I was in this like hospital bed, but it was like half hospital bed, half casket. And at the end of the casket, and dude, this is like actually like not a lot of people I've told about this yet, but either one of those nightmares. But at the end of my hospital bed, there was like this glass like church, right? And it had like a cross steeple on it on the top, but it was clear and it was filled with this liquid, right? And I remember I was laying there and these doctors were like standing all around me. And it's like, once again, I must have known somewhat what was going on because I know I'm in a hospital bed and, you know, there's doctors. And they were like looking at me like, all right, well, you're going to die now. And I was like, you know, what do you say? You're like, okay, you know. And I remember they started wheeling my hospital bed through this like huge waiting room, like this huge giant waiting room. And there was all these people in it that I knew. They were all sitting in chairs. I mean, just like hundreds of people. And they're all looking at me. And nobody says a word, like nobody says anything. And they're just looking at me as they're pushing me through the room. And they push me like down to the end of the room and they go through these double doors. And like, you remember your high school gym, right? Like with the bleachers and stuff like basketball. That's what they pushed me into. And they pushed me through the doors just far enough to let the doors close. And they walked down to the end of the hospital bed / casket. And they turned this cross steeple. And I watched the liquid start like emptying out of it, right? And I could feel the liquid like filling my lungs up, right? And I'm like sitting there and I'm just watching it happen. And then like as it empties, I can feel it's like only up to here. And I'm like, they're gone. And I start screaming like, I'm not dead yet. I'm not dead. Like, hey, I'm not dead. You know, like I'm still alive, you know, like I want to live, like, you know, like just screaming that, right? And that's the last thing I remember about it. And like I woke up. I remember I opened my eyes and they said I woke up multiple times, but they just doped me back up and put me back to sleep. You know, I was intubated and all that stuff. And whenever I woke up, like for the first time I really remember it, I had my head cocked to the side like this and I opened my eyes and I could see the hospital gown. And then like this arm was in this huge like splint thing. It had this writing and shit all over like, hey, don't manipulate this, you know, leave it alone, you know, talking for other medical staff. And I had a boot on each one of my legs. And I just remember, like, I woke up and I looked over, you know, at Candace. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what am I doing here? And she's like, hey, something happened at work, you know? And that's, like...
That's your first real memory?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And I always say, like, everybody had to deal with, like, me getting hurt, and I didn't. I just have had to deal with the aftermath.
Yeah.
You know?
So how long was that period?
I was in JPS for 2 months and then inpatient rehab for a month.
Well, I mean, from the time that you got hit to the time you remember, you woke up and actually realized
it says
you're
like
fucked up.
4 days, 4 or 5
Holy
days.
shit.
Something like that.
So,
But it felt like an eternity. Like those nightmares I had, they felt like they lasted forever.
yeah.
And you know, like usually you'll have a dream and then you wake up and you're like, oh, I don't, like halfway through the day, you're like, I don't fucking remember it now. Like I remember them like vividly.
Yeah.
Like 100%. I'll never forget them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just, I mean, they told me like, and this is what I harp on all the time, like people, I can't stand, like we have to have a culture change in like, you know, physical, like physical fitness, like in law enforcement, and we don't have it. And that pisses me off because my doctors straight up told me, like my surgeon said, they're like, if you hadn't been in the shape you're in, they all remembered. They said, we remember what you were like whenever you came into us. They said, if you hadn't been in the shape you're in, they're like, you'd never had a chance. And they say, you still shouldn't have lived. Like you still should not have lived.
Yeah.
And I thank God for that. You know, a lot of doctors are not God-fearing people, but,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I am, and 100%, I think, you know, God was watching over me that day.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just, the guys at work give me a hard time about CrossFit and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, eating healthy, I always brought my food and stuff. And it's like, fucking
I preach
saved my
it.
life that
when
day,
I was
dude.
an academy instructor, I said, listen, most of you fucks are going to get out there and be working midnight. And you're going to get into this complacency of, I don't have time to work out because there's nothing open. The gyms at where you work suck.
Mm-hmm.
Was like, you know what I did to combat it? Because
Call, go through the drive-through.
I said, I packed my lunch, and I packed a fucking great lunch all the time.
Yes.
I don't care what people say.
I eat my shit cold on the way to calls if I had to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I said, but I carried a kettlebell in the car.
Yeah. Get out and do a workout.
Yeah.
While you're at,
if I had 15, 10 minutes, whatever it was, I would do something.
Mm-hmm.
Something to keep me somewhat in shape.
Yes.
Because, like you said, it's.
And I got fucked, dude. Like, I mean, if you look at me right now, you would have no idea, like, the extent of my injuries. Because, and everybody told me, like, it's a complete fucking miracle. They're like, you're a walking miracle. I was told by, you know, do you remember Sergeant Birchfield? He retired, but he was our West Sergeant. He's working somewhere else now, but he did my CPI. And he said, Matt, he goes, you should never watch any of your videos, like your dash cam. Don't watch your dash cam. Don't watch your body cam. But he goes, if there's people that don't believe in God, he goes, they should watch your video. He's like, you're a walking miracle.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the video?
No, it's locked.
Oh, is it?
It's locked. You have to request access for it on Axon because, you know, they still haven't had the trial.
Right.
You know, there's still no trial date.
Yeah.
You know, about a month ago, we were hoping to have one. Still no trial date. But you know, do you know, like, have I told you everything that happened to me?
As far as
my
medically?
injuries?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to tell other people, I don't want to put all your business out there, but.
Well, no, I mean, I don't care. So it's like, let's see, you know, my tib fib broke off at the ankle. I just had that hardware removed completely in August.
Oh, so it's just you?
It's gone. Yep. It's just me now. Yeah.
Okay.
I just started running last week, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. What do you get, like quarter mile?
So I do it in intervals.
Okay.
Right? So the furthest I've run so far is 0.8, and it was in 12 rounds of 30 seconds on.
Okay. How'd it feel?
Feels good. Like, I feel okay.
Okay.
You know?
Don't push it too hard.
Yeah. When you know how you're going to get back to something.
Yeah.
Like,
you'll sympathize with this. I find myself, I'm running these 5Ks. I've been trying to make it a point on my days off, which is 4 days off, right? I'm sorry, 3 days off.
I was like, damn, you get 4 days?
Well, I consider my last day of work a day off because when I get home, I try to make sure I run. Because I will go right to sleep. Like I have, if I don't, so it's kind of make myself do something. So, for 4 days straight, I've never done this before in my life. I've always been a fitness guy, but, I run a 5K every day on my day off. Now I'm holding myself to standards that I can no longer achieve. Or I haven't achieved yet.
You could.
I'm trying. Trust
you
me.
might hurt yourself.
I am trying. It feels like my heart's gonna explode. So that's why I'm like, maybe I just can't do it anymore. But
that's how I felt the other day. I finished running. He goes, "You achieved a new cardio goal," and I was like, "Oh, that's why."
Yeah, because I'm like 40 years old, and I'm trying to hold myself to 23-year-old me's times.
Yeah,
So
it all takes work.
So just be careful and cognizant of yourself. Trying to hold yourself to a standard that isn't necessarily reasonable at the moment. So I don't do TRT, any of that stuff.
You don't?
No,
I do. Well, but I had to because
yours is different, medical issues. So for me, I'm still trying to stay natty as best I can because I don't want to use it until I absolutely have to.
Right.
And so I'm.
Well, see, and that was me. Like I was fine. At 28, and I knew something. And I'll touch on this a little bit just for anybody that's like wondering. I did not I was like, I do not have cancer. And it was testicular cancer. Like I was like, I don't have, there's no way.
Yeah.
But I was feeling tired and I was like, maybe my test is low, but I was working night shift. You know what I mean? They say naturally working nights, like your test levels will be low because you're meant to be up during the day, right? Not sleeping during the day and up at night. But every once in a while I get in my Tahoe and I hop in there and I'm like, man, I think I, maybe set on my shit a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And of course, one night I'm like, I'll just get on WebMD and figure it out.
Oh shit. You are dying.
WebMD says, you're going to die. Like you're dead, right? Like, hey, say your last right, get somebody give you your last right. So, but this was one of the times that like cancer was like third down on the list. And I was like, oh, I'm good then. WebMD says I'm good. So I went in to go have my testosterone checked and the doctor was like, yeah, man. He's like, your test is low. And I was like, okay. He's like asking me about my lifestyle and all this. And he's like, yeah, you sound pretty healthy. And I'd gone in there and I remember walking in and I saw like the surgical lube and the gloves and stuff. And I was like, man, I'm so glad I'm not getting my, prostate checked. And he's talking about my test being low. And like, I turn around as he's asking me if I've ever had a prostate exam.
Oh,
and he's putting a glove on. And he's like, hey, have you ever had a prostate exam? And I was like, no, why? Are you about to give me one? He's like, yep.
Fuck.
Dude, if I didn't walk out of that place like feeling the most violated I'd have ever been, like I had to go home and like cry in the shower. And I was like, and he called me the week later. He's like, hey, man, he's like, yeah, your test is low. He's like, your prostate's normal, but he's like, I want to see you for MRI before we really put you on replacement therapy. And so I went and had the MRI, just check for thyroid problems. And I had 2 physical exams, man, and the doctors never found the lump, right? And I go see, I go have this MRI, and the doctor's like, hey, your MRI is like everything looks good. He's like, is there anything else you need to tell me about? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I do. I have a lump, on my left nut. And he's like, okay. He was like, let me give you an exam, and he gives me an exam and he goes, it doesn't feel like a tumor, but he's like, he's like, we're going to see you for an ultrasound just to be safe, So next week I'll have an ultrasound and the girl giving the ultrasound is like, have you ever had any trauma to this, testicles? And I was like, other than like my, buddies play the nut tap game, like other than that, I said, no, not really. She's like, oh, okay. Well, they called me a few days later and they're like, hey, like, can you come in? Well, I go in and they're like, hey, listen, like, this is a tumor. So we don't know if it's what's malignant or benign. But they said the problem with doing an aspiration, fine needle aspiration, like checking a small portion of it, right? They said the problem with doing that is that A, we take the chance of only getting a small portion of it. We don't know what the rest is. Or B, we take the chance of doing the aspiration and it spreads it. Right. So they said the only thing we can do is take it. And once we take it, you're not getting it back. And dude, when they said that, like I fucking cried.
Really? You get 2 of them.
I know, but it's like, come on. It's like, okay, here, let's go right now. We'll go get your left one taken out.
Fuck, you can take both of them.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
My wife's got them already.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because of my age. It could be how old were you?
28.
Yeah, that could be a big difference.
Yeah.
We were talking almost a 15-year difference, in age. I'm not having more kids. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. But it was, I I was like, it's part of you, you know? You're like,
yeah,
no, you know?
yeah.
But it's
I
like,
can
what
function
else?
without my balls. I don't take my wiener. That would be big.
Actually, believe it or not, if you don't have at least one of them, you might as well not have that one.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. They say if you lose both, like, good luck ever doing any of that stuff.
Really?
Unless you have
Oh, I didn't know
use
that.
of assistive devices.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I need
need
okay.
one.
I need one.
Right? You
Okay.
need one.
Need one. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, I was like, well, fuck. I was like, I don't know what else to do. You know, I was like, all right. You know, so I went in and I had surgery, and they took it, and it's crazy because I was getting ready to have the surgery, and the nurses were like, yeah, we have a guy here that had it, but he got it twice, and we had to take both of them. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, thanks
Bitch,
for
where's
telling
your
me.
bedside
Like,
manner? Like, that's
like,
really
thanks for letting me know right before you go in and cut this one out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, anyway, I wake up, you know, they told me everything's good. We said, we got to refer you to an oncologist just because it was cancer, you know, because they gave me, you know, a couple weeks later, they came back, you know, it was like some kind of embryonal carcinoma and then sarcoma. It was a mix.
yeah.
But they said, you know, we didn't see any invasion anywhere else. Right. So they said, we do have to refer you to an oncologist just because it was cancer. You go talk to him. And I went and saw my oncologist, you know, and he said, hey, he goes, I always recommend everybody do 1 round of chemo. He goes, it'll cut your chances by 40% of it ever coming back. Right. He said, but, you know, I said, okay, but I didn't have any invasion anywhere else. Right. Like, nobody saw anything. He goes, yeah. He goes, we didn't see anything. And I said, okay, so, and I had researched it. Like, when I get into something, I will fucking, like,
Yeah.
I'm on a, you know, just typing. And he said, yeah, you're a good candidate for observation is what they call it. They check your blood work, you know, you go get scans, you know, this and that. So I went several months, dude. I went from June or July. You know, I went and I was having scans and they said everything's good. Well, right before Thanksgiving, man, I was getting ready to go to CrossFit one day, and I had to go see him for my follow-up because I had my blood work done the previous day, and then I had to go see him, and then I was going to go to the gym for my workout. And I went in there, I was already in my workout clothes, and I sat there and I was waiting forever, and I was like, damn, I'm going to be late for class. And I walk out, and I find him, he's walking into somebody else's room, and I was like, hey, David, I was like, it's going to be long today, like I'm running late for this workout, and he goes, yeah, man, it's going to be a minute today, man. He's like, just go back in there and have a seat. I'll be in just a minute. Dude, and when he said that, like, my heart dropped. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to die. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, I'm dead. I'm going to die. Like, he's going to tell me I have, like, terminal fucking cancer, right?
Yeah.
So I go and I sit down there and I start texting people, like, hey, something's not right. Like, something's wrong. Like, he just told me this. And he comes in and he's like, hey, we got your chest x-ray back and we got your abdominal CT scan back. And he's like, you've got 3 enlarged abdominal lymph nodes, and you've got nodules on your lungs. And I was like, how sure are you? He's like, well, he's like, that's there for sure. I said, well, how sure are you that my cancer is back? And he's like, I'm like 99% sure. He goes, you need to do chemo. And I was like, listen, David, I was like, I don't want you to take this like personally, but I was like, I'm going to go get a second opinion. He goes, by all means, man. He's like, go have one, you know? So I went to UT Southwestern because they're big on cancer. And I went up there for, you know, some tests and stuff. And they're like, yeah, you just need to listen to your oncologist. So that was in November. I was like, hey, man, I was like, can I make it through the holidays before we do this, you know, start doing this? He's like, man, he goes, I don't see why not. He goes, it's been going this long. He's like, you know, get through it and we'll do it right after the 1st. So I made it through Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. And then on January 3rd, I went in and had my port put in. And then my dad took me to get something to eat. And then came back and went right across the street and I got my first dose of chemo.
Shit. You're more patient than me. I'd be like, no, juice me fucking now.
Dude, I was like, I would sit back there with like these like old people and they would sit there and they just stare at me. And no one would ever be like, hey man, like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? You know, like, what are you doing back here? They'd always just like sit there and look at me like, why are you here?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, hey man, young people get cancer too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I always joke, man, it's like Iraq, cancer, and now this is like, I've fucking got like 6 lives left. I'm still good.
No shit.
I got plenty. I could do whatever I want.
Well,
6 more times.
I got you an award. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
This was the present that I went and got you. So
You fucking
I got you some
Did you have this
Stop Sticks.
made?
No, I did not have that made. That is made by Stop Stick. So
Really, like it's a little sales thing?
Yep.
Sales?
Yep. So that is.
You know, it's funny. Police One sent me an email the other day. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir.
They sent me an email the other day, and they're like, "Hey, what's your view on Stop Sticks?" And it was like they send it out to cops in general,
Right? But
I'm like, I would love to fill this out,
Right.
At the end, it's like, do you mind providing your email address? Because you could tell, like, if you answer questions a certain way, it would switch the questions. And then by the time I got to the end, they were like, "Hey, would you mind providing us your information in case we need to contact you about it?" And I was like, "Hey, man, fucking contact me," because I will say, I do think there's better options out there, but it's a money issue because those other things that are better equipped to handle it
cost
more money. Yep. Like you've seen the one that folds down and it's got the straps on it.
Yep.
Lock up the rear axle.
Yep. Where the device, like the one I saw at the IACP this year, was a device that shoots out a like sticky bomb, not a bomb. That's a bad term. Sticky GPS system.
Well, it's a car up.
Yeah, and it just shoots and you can track the vehicle.
Them. Yeah. Yes, I've seen those. Yep.
So I thought that was a good one. And it's not like you can just pull that thing off.
It's like by Axon or something, isn't it?
I don't think so. Not this one. No.
Okay.
No. But it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool demonstration.
Man, there's, and that's the thing. I never paid attention to how many cops are killed throwing spikes until it happened to me.
Yeah.
I never realized it.
I've tried. It's one of those things that wasn't my wheelhouse by any means, but I've learned through my time on the streets, like if you are not throwing them from behind cover, a cement pillar from an overhang, overpass, any of that, don't even bother. It ain't worth it.
Well, and that was the thing, I was out in the open and they said he came, like he swerved off the road
for you
right at the last minute,
yeah.
And it's like you can't outrun a car on foot.
So
what I mean?
Let me ask you this, and you don't have to answer.
No, I don't give a shit.
What's your opinion of this guy and what's going on right now?
So, from everything I've been told about him, he is a career criminal in multiple states, and he shouldn't, from what I've been told, he shouldn't have even been out whenever he tried to kill me.
Yeah.
And they said that, he's been in, I was told he's not been in just, in trouble for petty shit. Like he's been in trouble for some actual, like, really bad stuff. Like I was told the exact words was he's hurt a lot of people throughout the years and it's not for little stuff. Like he's actually like hurt people.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, and this pisses me off. He was on a no bond originally. And then his bond went down to 200,000. Now it's at 100,000 just for my charge. And he's caught an ag sex assault with child charge since he's been sitting in jail, and a burg of a hab charge since he's been sitting in jail, with new bonds. But I added it up. Total, he'd be out for about 16,000 if he wanted to bond out of jail. If somebody wanted to get him out. And I said, why would y'all ever allow somebody like that back out on the street? And I was told, well, he'll be subject to bond conditions and have to wear an ankle monitor and check in. And I said, do you think somebody like this is going to stick around when they know that they're going to go to prison?
Yeah.
No, he's going to cut his ankle monitor off and he's gone.
Yeah.
Why not take your chances? Why? He's never been held accountable for anything else he's done. He's always, he obviously likes his lifestyle that he leads. Why would he ever sit there and just take it and say, yeah, I'll just go to prison? Yeah. No, he's gonna go. He's gonna take his chances. He's gonna be gone.
You're right.
And I don't care. I always say, dude, bad people are bad people. It doesn't matter where you come from or who you are or anything. Like, there's good and there's bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you pick a side. Are you a good person? Are you a bad person? You know, so it's just, I wish that everybody would figure that out. And it's like, it's the pendulum's shifted so far in the wrong direction. And I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah. Well, until somebody's in your shoes.
Yeah. But it's, I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
I could go on and on about this shit. It's just like, good people don't deserve to get hurt. And he targeted me just because I was wearing a uniform.
Yeah.
He had no idea who I was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I could have probably sat down on the side of the street with this guy and like talked to him one day and like found some kind of common ground, like something in common with him. And like, hey man, yeah, oh, I enjoy that too. But instead he saw my uniform and he's like, fuck him.
Yeah.
You know?
And to maybe try to help people get a perspective, like if you've ever run over an animal,
I feel horrible.
An accident. Like, exactly.
Yes.
Like that feeling, that dropped heart. Oh my God, please be okay.
Yes. Yeah.
This guy had the complete opposite.
Yeah, he said fuck him. He kept
Intentionally. Okay, so like I'm just trying to give somebody like that maybe trying to put themselves like, well, maybe he was trying to avoid the cop. No, like just picture that. And he kept going after he hit you. Yep. So that's
and then he ran, he ditched the vehicle because he knew.
Yeah, and continued to try to flee.
He ditched the vehicle and then hid somewhere else.
Yeah. 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 That's the other part I listened to was the manhunt for him, which we actually got in vehicles from our part times and tried to get over there.
You know, it's crazy. You talk about that. My sister, they were going to drop their daughter off for like a volleyball game or something, and they were over there, and they're like, "Oh, I wonder what's going on over there." You know, they saw the helicopters and stuff, and they're like, "Wow, there must have been a wreck or something." They had no idea it was me.
Damn.
And then my dad. Like, they called my dad and told him, like, hey, Matt's been, hurt. And he said that he thought I was, like, in, like, a fender bender or something. No idea that it was, like, life-threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. So it's like, as people do, it's like I can't imagine, like, my sister saw, like, the entire, like, thing from afar, but had no idea it was me. Right. You know, because it's always, like, it's not somebody I know, you know? And it's always that mindset of, like, oh, it's not going to happen to me. Right? Like I'm careful and I do this and I do that. And I've always tried to be that way. Like I try to make sure I do everything the right way.
Yeah.
You know, cause I don't ever want to be a liability to myself or somebody else. Like definitely not another officer. You know what I mean? And I always am like, I got to make sure I have to do things right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just for them to like see that happen, I'm like, it's never you until it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always somebody else.
Yep.
And then fuck, it's like it happened to me.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing.
But
still, I can't.
From here, the prognosis is you will return to full duty.
Oh, yeah.
You will recover.
I'm in physical therapy 5 days a week, man.
Yeah.
Like I go every day.
Yeah. Probably can't make your wiener any bigger, but
I'm trying.
You keep trying for that, buddy.
A lot of stretches, you know.
Well, I'm a very optimistic person. I try to be. And I try to look for the good in everything. And I see an officer now who's going to be able to educate our future and give them the right mindset behind what they need to do to be a good cop, and just have a survivor's mindset in a career field that, just like you said, is very, it's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Which I don't disagree with. I like that mindset. I really do. It ain't going to happen to me.
You don't, well, I mean.
No. Because if you're out there thinking, it's going to happen to me, you're behind the curve.
Yeah, it's kind of victim mentality.
Yeah, you're behind the curve. So that's fine. Be the guy that it's not going to happen to me, but when it does, just be mentally prepared to fight and get through what you got to get through.
Yeah, and please, like, everybody should always, like, at least have the bare essentials and bare necessary training to take care of somebody if it happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I would feel so horrible if something happened to an officer or anybody really, and I was there and I didn't have the training to say.
It almost happened to me. Javi collapsed. He's a sergeant. You may or may not know him. Always been with SWAT. Walked through the training area. The instructors. This is when I was academy instructor. We're working out. Several of us, including Jamie Johnson. And he collapsed right at the door before.
Well, Jamie's a cool guy.
Before he gets into the hallway. If he had collapsed in the hallway at that time, nobody would have seen him for God knows how long.
Yeah, just laying there. Yeah.
He had what's called a widowmaker.
Oh yeah, the heart attack.
With his heart as aorta, which was a condition he was aware of, but was told he had plenty of time to get it addressed. It wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
He collapsed in the doorway. Me and Jamie get to him. It looks like he's having a seizure. It's really weird. And you talk about doing something is better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him and I'm like he's foaming. I'm like, I've
Really?
seen seizures. Yeah, I have a cousin,
Yeah.
cousin Stacy. She's had seizures, and it's the only person I've seen that's had seizures, but it didn't look like the one she had. So I was like, fuck. And Jamie's like,
What is this?
Yeah, like Jamie's like, he's having a seizure. And no, it wasn't that Jamie was in the wrong by any means, and that's not what I'm trying to say.
Because that's what it looked like.
To
right?
him, he was like, it'll pass. And so I'm like, I remember Brandy Camper, shout out to Brandy. Put the AED on. It will diagnose. It doesn't
Let
hurt.
you know.
It doesn't hurt to have it.
Mhm.
Just get it. So I was like, fuck it. I'll run and grab that. Now, me being a dumbass and kind of panicking because as many citizens as I have helped, I have never been amped up. I don't get.
Yeah, it's kind of like, hey, what's going on?
I don't get juiced up. It's the job. Help this person. Okay,
Yeah.
this is what I need to do. It's one of my own. And it's a weird way to look at it. I'm not saying the citizens are my own, but this is somebody I see all the time. I'm emotionally invested.
Mhm.
And I see Javi, and I'm like,
It's kind of like in your house, man.
Yeah.
You know, like it's in the house.
yeah,
like,
exactly.
hey,
And I am legit. I'm having a fucking panic, not a panic attack, but I'm fucked up.
Yeah. That's
And I
right.
run to the front of the building. There's an AED literally across the gym.
And you ran all the way.
And I ran all the way to the front.
That's a long way, actually.
but I was hauling ass. So I go grab it, bring it up. Conveniently, it's the same exact IED.
IED. Oh, it's not an IED. Fuck.
Same AED that saved Dana. And
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
so I
John.
grab it, run back, we put it on, and Jamie's like, hey, yeah, probably a good idea. Like Jamie, like, yeah, let's. Because he's still seizing.
Jamie's putting it on him. He's like, no, Jamie, not for you.
Yeah. Hey, Jamie's putting it on his nipples.
Shit, man.
So get it on him, and immediately it's like, clear. I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm like, holy shit.
Because usually it'll tell you it's like not applying, you know, whatever.
Yes,
Not applying
like-
shock or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yes. So it said, you know, I think it even said what type of rhythm it was. It was like something crazy.
Dude, those things are fucking smart, man.
And I mean, it shocked his ass like 5-6 times by the time the FD got there. And FD got there fairly quick. You know, they're just across the way. And so we had sent a runner.
We got to wake him up. And, you know,
Yeah, right. So we sent a runner over to
We're all
the
having nap time
fire
together.
academy, and they got him. And they said the only thing that would have saved him is an electronic device.
like normal CPR.
Normal
work.
CPR wouldn't have worked. And they said you have a small window. I think they said it's 90 seconds to 2 minutes
to apply it. Yeah.
And we happened to get it there. So, and
Did
I
you
got.
at least get a life-saving award for that shit?
I did not.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I don't care.
It's
Whatever.
all right. I'm going to put you in for it.
I tell you what I did get. Every time Javi sees me, he gives me a hug.
That's good enough, right?
Every time.
Yeah, that's better than the
And I
award.
can't help it. Every time I see him, I almost cry. And I'm like, man. Cause
No, dude, you have
yeah.
an emotional connection to that,
yeah.
man.
So forever, he was just, you know, it's just
It's like your buddy's there because of you.
Yeah.
You know
it's
what I
just
mean?
like you and Woolbright. Like you know, I see the emotion, and I'm just like, I fall back to that, man.
I have to tell you one last thing. So I was laying in my hospital bed, right? And I still had a boot on my left leg. And this female officer came in from East Side, and I was laying there, and she came in, and she goes, so is that the one almost got taken off? And I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, is that the leg you almost lost? And I was like, I don't think I almost lost my leg. She's like, oh, okay. Never said anything else about it, right? Like,
You had no clue?
no clue. None.
Yeah.
And after I got out of the hospital, I asked David, I called him one day, or I can't remember, he might have been over at the house drinking whiskey with me, or I talked to him on the phone, and I was like, hey, man, I was like, did I almost lose my leg? And he goes, no. He's like, no. He's like, where'd you hear that? And I was like, you know, when I was in the hospital, the Seaside officer asked me, you know, hey, is that the one that almost got taken off? He's like, nah, dude. And he's like, your leg was fine. I was like, all right. Never thought anything else of it. Well, JPS apparently does a podcast, which I didn't know.
Oh, didn't know that either.
And they called me, and they're like, hey, Matt, you know, this is so-and-so JPS. Would you be interested in doing a podcast for Trauma Week? One of your trauma surgeons said that you would be a good candidate. And I was like, you know, I guess, you know. They're like, okay, well, you know, is there a time you're free? I said, well, I'll have a follow-up, you know, next week or whatever, you know. they said, well, that's good because we're here at JPS. You could just come, call us whenever you're done, and you can come interview with us. And I said, oh, okay. So I go in, I interview with them for about half an hour, and then interview my trauma surgeon after the fact, right after I was gone. Well, they released the podcast like the next week, and what they kind of did was like intermingle our interviews, like his and mine.
Yeah.
Right. And I was listening to it, and they were talking to Dr. Rodriguez, and they were like, hey, so what happened? He's like, well, they told me Matt was in bad shape whenever they got to him. They told me, his leg was almost completely ripped off, and I was like, motherfucker. Like, I was like, Woolbright, you motherfucker. Like, he's just trying to protect me, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, I still, like, I look down at the shit, I'm like, how the fuck do I still have this leg? Like,
Yeah.
I God and like modern medicine, dude, just I don't know how they saved it. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I have full feeling, everything. Like, my leg works, and I'm so thankful for that. Like, I really I get in this pity party sometimes, and I'm like, man, like, fuck, shit sucks. Like, I'm not back to where I was. Like, it's taking forever. But then I'm like, every once in a while, like, the little part of me breaks through, and it's like, dude, like, you're doing pretty good for what happened. You know what I mean?
Can't appreciate what we have until we realize what we may lose.
Yeah. And then I just go back to feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah. That's the Army in you. Can't help it.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever, Air Force. Yeah. I saw you guys in Transformers.
Right? You're welcome. Save the world again, as usual. Right? Air superiority. That's the only way to have.
I know, right?
If Russia only knew. Well, brother, we are just past the 4-hour mark, but I think we're technically a little shy just because of the breaks and stuff that we'll edit out. But
yeah,
you got anything else you want to plug?
I don't know, man. I tell people, and I always throw this in just a little bit. Like, everybody that gets hurt and they get stuck on the fucking pain meds. I've got myself off them 3 times, and it's not fucking easy. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very tough. I'm getting myself off of them again. And I know a lot of guys struggle with that shit. And I hear about it on the workers' comp side. So if anybody ever wants to reach out to you or anybody in general, like, I don't care if they're a cop or not, and they're having issues with the stuff, like, I've done this shit 3 times now. If anybody ever needs help and they really want to take, like, my word for it, you're not going to get off the shit till you really choose to. But if anybody needs help, man, like, I'll be a shoulder to cry on, or an ear to.
That's a big
tough,
deal,
man. It's a big deal.
Yeah,
it is. It's tough.
It's hard to admit you need them, and then once you get on them, it's hard to admit that it's not as easy to get off them as you hope.
It's not.
Yep.
It's tough. So I mean, anybody's ever going through that shit, like, I'll do what I can to help out.
All right.
Reach out.
Sounds good, brother. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you being on. Love you, buddy.
Love you too, man.